Can I stay here, just for tonight?
The snow had started falling harder just as the night deepened, the kind of cold, silent snowfall that makes even a busy neighborhood feel abandoned. The porch light of a modern glass-fronted house cut through the blue darkness, reflecting off the icy ground where a young woman stood clutching a small child to her chest. Her shoulders were hunched, not just from the cold but from the weight of pride she had already swallowed too many times. She had practiced the question in her head again and again, but now that the door was inches away, her throat felt tight. She had nowhere else to go, and the answer she was about to receive would decide whether this night ended in warmth or despair. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that one small decision can change a life forever, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that compassion still exists, even in the coldest moments. Her name was Hannah Moore, a 26-year-old single mother who had learned far too early that love could disappear and promises could break. The little boy pressed against her coat was Noah, just 3 years old, with flushed cheeks from the cold and tired eyes that had already seen too much uncertainty. Hannah had once lived a very different life, one filled with simple dreams and ordinary routines, but a series of quiet tragedies had slowly dismantled everything she knew. The man she married young had left when responsibility became heavier than romance, vanishing from both her life and Noah's without explanation. Medical bills followed a complicated pregnancy, savings disappeared, and a run of bad luck mixed with one bad landlord after another eventually pushed her to the edge. Tonight, her car was out of gas, her phone battery was dying, and the women's shelter she had been hoping for was already full. The house she stood before belonged to Michael Carter, a 34-year-old CEO whose name appeared regularly in business magazines and online articles praising his rapid rise and disciplined leadership. From the outside, his life looked flawless: success, wealth, control. But behind the glass walls and modern furniture was a man who understood loneliness more than anyone assumed. Michael was a single father too, raising his 5-year-old daughter, Grace, after losing his wife in a sudden accident that had shattered his world years earlier. He had built his empire with precision and order, partly as a way to keep grief at bay. His routines were strict, his boundaries firm, and his trust in people carefully rationed. That night, Michael had just returned home from a long board meeting, his mind still tangled in numbers and forecasts, when he noticed the movement near his door through the security camera feed. At first, his instincts tightened. The world had taught him caution, especially after fame and money entered the picture. But when he saw Hannah standing there with a child in her arms, snow collecting in her hair and exhaustion written across her face, something old and uncomfortable stirred in his chest. It reminded him of a night long ago when he himself had stood helpless in a hospital hallway, clutching his daughter while machines beeped behind closed doors, wishing for mercy from a world that felt cruelly indifferent. Hannah did not expect sympathy. She expected suspicion, maybe rejection, maybe silence. She had knocked on enough doors to recognize the look people gave when they decided your story was not their problem. When the door opened and warmth spilled out, she struggled to meet Michael's eyes. She explained her situation not with dramatic words but with the quiet honesty of someone too tired to embellish. She asked only for one night, one place where her son could sleep without fear, one chance to figure out what came next. Her heart pounded as she waited, already preparing herself to walk away if she had to. Michael listened, his expression controlled, but inside, conflict raged. His logical mind listed risks and liabilities, warnings he had trained himself to heed. But another part of him, the part shaped by loss and love, saw not a threat but a mirror of pain he recognized. He thought of Grace asleep upstairs, her small hand always reaching for reassurance in the night, and wondered what kind of example he wanted to set for her. He realized that success had given him comfort but not peace, and that perhaps this moment was asking something deeper of him than another calculated decision. He made a choice that surprised even himself. He stepped aside and allowed Hannah and Noah into the warmth of his home, offering them not just shelter but dignity. He did not treat her like a charity case or a burden. He showed her where she could settle for the night, ensured Noah had food and blankets, and gave Hannah space to breathe without judgment. For Hannah, the relief was overwhelming. The simple act of being allowed inside felt like a miracle. She sat quietly on the edge of the guest bed later, watching her son sleep peacefully for the first time in days, tears finally falling once she knew no one was watching. The night passed quietly, but its impact lingered. In the morning, sunlight reflected off the snow outside, and the house felt different, less sterile, more alive. Grace met Hannah and Noah with the unfiltered curiosity of a child who had not yet learned to fear strangers. Michael observed the interaction from a distance, struck by how naturally kindness flowed when walls were lowered. Over breakfast, Hannah shared more of her story, not as a plea but as context, and Michael found himself offering help that went beyond the single night he had promised. He connected her with legal resources, helped her apply for emergency assistance, and offered temporary work through one of his company's outreach programs, carefully structured to preserve her independence. Days turned into weeks, and what began as a single act of compassion slowly transformed all of their lives. Hannah regained stability step by step, her confidence returning as she proved to herself that she was capable, resilient, and worthy of respect. Noah thrived in an environment where laughter returned and fear receded. Michael, in turn, felt something inside him soften. He learned that control was not the same as strength, and that opening his home had opened his heart in ways he did not expect. Grace watched it all unfold, absorbing lessons about empathy and generosity that no lecture could ever teach. There were challenges, moments of doubt, and difficult conversations, but the foundation had shifted. Hannah eventually moved into her own small apartment, supported by steady income and renewed hope. She never forgot the night that changed everything, the night when a stranger chose humanity over caution. Michael returned to his routines, but they felt different now, enriched by purpose beyond profit. Their lives continued on separate paths, but they remained connected by gratitude and a shared understanding that kindness is rarely wasted. As this story comes to a close, take a moment to reflect on how a single decision can ripple outward in ways we may never fully see. If this story touched your heart, moved you, or reminded you of the power of compassion, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can be told. And before you go, leave a comment sharing whether you believe one night of kindness can truly change a life. Because sometimes, the greatest transformations begin with the simplest question, asked in the cold, and answered with courage.